Colin Kaepernick is now throwing his own family under the bus for racial clout. Yeah, I thought he couldn't become any more of a grifting scumbag than he already is. You know, I literally thought it was impossible. And yet here we have Colin Kaepernick. The New York Post reports Colin Kaepernick is now accusing his own white adoptive parents of a problematic upbringing and perpetuating racism. Now, of course, the people he is throwing under the bus are the very people who adopted him when his real biological birth givers would not take care of him. They then raised him to be a formerly successful NFL player. Emphasis on formerly, of course. I want to remind everyone, Colin Kaepernick failed out of the NFL because he sucked. That's a fact I like bringing up because it makes people mad. But anyways, this is what he's doing. He's now attacking his own family for clout. And can we first off just talk about how scummy that is? I mean, we'll get into the accusation in a minute. But just think for a moment about how scummy that is. And I don't understand modern culture's obsession with throwing your own family under the bus over especially like political disagreements. You know, maybe I'm old school. Maybe I was taught the old school way. But, you know, I was taught, okay, you might not agree with your family members on everything, even fight it out at Thanksgiving. We get it. But you don't go out publicly throwing your family members under the bus, right? Generally speaking, you're loyal to your family. Family drama is not something to be hashed out publicly in 99% of cases. Arguably 100. And so it's not something that you go out and make TikToks about. And yet I see this all the time. How many TikToks have you seen, especially of liberal kids who are like living with my Republican conservative grandpa or whatever, or my parents. And then, you know, like Mitch McConnell's daughter or whatever, I'm pretty sure, attacks them publicly. Kellyanne Conway's daughter attacks her publicly. And I just don't understand it. Again, maybe I'm old school for that, but I honestly think culturally speaking, it just should not be a thing to attack your own family like that, okay? But anyways, if you are going to hash it out publicly, then at least have a good reason, a really good reason, like something like abuse, right? Maybe if your parents are abusive and there's no way to get that settled, maybe it's something you take to the public. I get it. So let's ask that question. Were Colin Kaepernick's parents abusive? Was it something very high and egregious that warrants being attacked publicly like this? Well, no, not at all. Actually, it's simply because they didn't want him to get a stupid and ridiculous haircut. I'm not joking about this. So reading from the New York Post articles, and I quote, "One of these disagreements illustrated in the novel was a fight over his hairstyle. Kaepernick, in an attempt to idolize basketball player Allen Iverson, wanted to embrace his blackness by wearing cornrows." Cornrows are like those like dread things, right? But his mother pushed back. He's getting what roles? His mother, Teresa, is cited as saying, in reality, she allegedly told him, "Oh, your hair's not professional. Oh, you look like a little thug." The conversation with his mother has continued to impact Kaepernick's life choices decades later, even influencing his now famous Afro hairstyle, Colin Kaepernick's current hairstyle, which, for the record, looks absolutely ridiculous. It's a mess. So first of all, again, before we even get into this really just doesn't seem like a big enough deal to be throwing the people who adopted you and like rescued you from not having parents for the purposes of clout, you know? Like, regardless of what side you fall on this, is this really such a big a deal that it deserves being attacked publicly for? I don't think so. But let me further go and say that Colin Kaepernick's mother is right. Based Mama Kaepernick. Cornrows are not professional. And the current mess of a haircut that Kaepernick has right now is equally, absolutely ridiculous, okay? And obviously, if you're a pro athlete like him, like Allen Iverson, you can kind of do whatever you want. You know, when you're a star, they let you do it. But his mom, and let me explain this from his mom's perspective. His mom was looking at a young Colin Kaepernick who was not yet a successful professional athlete, not yet a millionaire, and saying, well, I want my son to be employable in the professional workforce, right? And the reality is that if you walk into a big time job interview with an unprofessional haircut, or you have face tattoos or all this stuff, you are not going to be taken seriously. You are not going to be hired. It's just true. It's the case, right? And activists like Kaepernick can cry cultural erasure, or they say, oh, we just don't simply respect the culture of, having face tattoos and ridiculous haircuts and sagging your pants and all this stuff. They say we are erasing black culture by asking people to dress and act properly. Okay, this is what they say. Again, we don't say this, but they are the ones out here saying this. But I would also say, okay, for your culture or whatever, fine. But where's the respect for the culture of others? Where's the respect for the culture of professionals? There's my question to Kaepernick, to all these people who say, you can't ask black people to, not have face tattoos and all this stuff, right? Because if you want to practice the culture of the hood, go ahead, practice the culture of the hood. But don't expect to get out of the hood and be taken seriously while practicing the culture of the hood, right? Because if you want people to respect your culture, you also have to respect other people's cultures. See how that works? And so, yeah, I mean, your local drug dealer, your local groupie might like the haircut. They might like the face tattoos and everything because they're a part of that culture. And, if you're a rapper or you're an athlete, I get it, right? You can kind of get away with it. Like, I think Kanye West looks ridiculous in his gimp mask and his giant jacket. But, what are you going to do? It's Kanye West. Who's going to tell him you can't do that, right? But Kanye West also is a part of the rap culture, hip hop culture, all that stuff. What I'm saying is don't go into another culture, i.e. like the professional world of people who make honest, normal corporate money, and then get mad when that culture all wears suits and dresses clean and acts professionally and all this, right? You can't walk into that world practicing a culture from a totally different place and then ask people and then tell people you're not respecting my culture by practicing your culture and kind of upholding the social norms and standards of your culture, right? You want people to respect your culture, but you don't respect their culture. There are social norms and expectations in the corporate world, newsflash, just like there are, among gangsters and in South Central and all that stuff, right? They're different, but you want to be respected so bad. Respect is a mutual thing, okay? Colin Kaepernick, your mom was looking out for you because your mom understood the culture of the professional world, and your mom wanted you to be employable and respectable and a functional member of society. That's why she wanted you to acclimate to the customs of the corporate world, right? The customs of the industries with money to be found, right? And frankly, Colin, if you care so much about black empowerment, you ought to be encouraging other black people to do the same, right? To take themselves seriously, dress presentably, pursue professionalism, right? It is not a black thing, a white thing. This is if you want to be taken seriously, if you want to work in the professional world, you got to act professional, okay? If a white guy comes in with face tattoos, they're not going to take him seriously either, right? But you tell people to not change anything about themselves and then wonder why their circumstances don't change. You people say stuff like support black businesses and support black wealth, but you don't actually tell people how to take steps to get there. In fact, when someone comes along and asks, well, how do I, practice wealth mobility? How do I move out? How do I get out of the hood? You actually work against them. You actually discourage them on those own ends by telling them, oh, well, you're in a situation that objectively sucks, right? Nobody wants to be poor. Nobody wants to live in the ghetto and all that stuff, okay? So you're looking at people who are in a situation that objectively sucks and telling them, yes, you should want that situation to change, but you shouldn't change anything about yourself, or at least change anything about, yourself in comparison to the way the unsuccessful people around you are going. It's a bunch of ridiculousness, okay? And that's why Colin Kaepernick, you will never be anything more than a grifting communist clown. Okay. And frankly, you're lucky you athlete got all this money, but the prescription that you're giving to the people who you supposedly care about, terrible. Okay. Absolutely terrible. Hey guys, Vince Dao here. Hope you enjoyed that clip. If you did, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And on top of that, be sure to tune in to the Vince Dao show starting this week, every single night live at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Many are saying it will soon become one of the most premier shows on the American political right. I didn't say that. I just heard that. So be sure to tune in. Again, 8 p.m. Eastern time, every weekday of the night this week. Come and join us. Thanks, guys. God bless.